Okay, reading it by side. See here. Okay, so I have put a sticky note here last time we learned. So that means we're up to Halacha Gimel. So much more here. I think at least two of you saw, I don't know, Morris saw yet. I posted about a shiur for tomorrow afternoon. I know Tzvi and Evie saw it. I don't know about Morris, whether you saw it.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I posted an offer for a shiur tomorrow afternoon. A second shiur on the Kabbalah. Register?
Yeah, I'll do it when I do.
Um, okay. Halacha Gimel. Darkest having Lishus Rabbi. Zarkas had Rishus Rabbi, threw a stone into Rishus Rabbi, and you killed a razor gola. So you got golos. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Omer, if you are honest, because you first you threw the stone and then the guy stuck his head out and he got killed. So then you're razor potter. Your example goes because as the Pnei Moshe says over here, the the stone finds your friend. Where your friend makes himself available. In other words, it means he's already there, opposed to he's not there when he threw the stone. Halacha Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov. Halacha is like Elazar ben Yaakov. Generally speaking, whenever Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov appears anywhere in Shas, we pass him like Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, no matter who's arguing with him. And that is the case here as well. And the Gemara brings down, elaborates Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov, time Elazar ben Yaakov, Elazar ben Yaakov taught, Matzah, she had matzah b'shah shuhargo. It should be there, already available at the time when he kills him. Okay, so obviously the person is there at the time when I throw the stone. But the Gemara asks, wait a minute, this person had permission to throw a stone to Rabbi. What he's allowed to be there, right? You're posheya, you're negligent, you should not have thrown a stone to Rabbi, right? It's not, you're not allowed to. It's anybody can walk there any time. So why you're not chayav golus, at least for being for throwing out there, at least you're okay, might be carved amazing. What right do you have to do it? So Gemara says, I'm Rabbi Yosef Rabun, the pater shall coastal goher. It's about a case where your wall is about to fall down. Now, it's a case, one of the cases where you're allowed to put stones to Sarabim, one of the very few cases, I don't know if there are any others, is that if your wall is in danger of falling down, your wall is not stable, and you have to replace your wall. So halacha is that you have authorization to do your construction utilizing Rishus Harabim, because otherwise you're not going to be able to do it. So therefore, Chazal said, okay, you have a special a heter to use Rishus Harabim to do the construction or to rebuild your wall. So at that point, you're allowed to toss stones into Rishus Harabim. Now, logic dictates that you have to put up some sort of pylons or some sort of other warning of some sort. But we're talking about a case where he wasn't posheya, he wasn't negligent by throwing a stone to Rishus Harabim, but he was allowed to do it, and therefore the fact that that person should have also exercised caution. He shouldn't have been there at that time, but should have watched where he was going, and therefore it's not it's not totally your fault, and that's why you don't have to go into golus. Okay, and I think that the Bavli has a similar thing. The Marapanim here on the bottom, things down. So it's a bunch of go Hasim Daf Ches in the Gemara in the Bavli. Baruch la Kimta Sosis Koslo Uvalayla nami boile yune, right? So it says there, you should expect people to be in the Shusram even at night. How can you ever break down your walls of Shusram? So Bavli says something similar, but not quite the same thing. It says Besoisus Koslo Ashpa. It's where you are you're breaking down your wall into an ashba, into a garbage pile. And the more asks there, well, are people also the garbage pile? Let's say about at night. Well, are people so if that's the case, what's the havamina that you should be chayav? So the bottom line is that there's a place where people are during the day and not there during the night, and maybe sometimes people there go there during the night. So you're not considered to be you're allowed to break down your wall into the ashba, and therefore you're exempt from going to golos. That's what the Bavli says. I don't think the Bavli and Yerushalmi necessarily argue. They just have two different approaches. Yerushalmi says, so in that case, we're allowed to break down your wall to Rabin because your wall is about to fall down, and under those circumstances, you're allowed to rebuild it. Okay? Pretty straightforward. So let's go on to Lachadal. Zargas Emel Chatzero. You toss the stone into your own backyard. V'harag, and you kill. If the person who got damaged is allowed to go into there, so then golen, then you have to go into golos. Bimlav, even have permission to be there. Ain't a goal, you don't go to golos. The classic cases the Torah gives of somebody who goes into golos is when he comes upon his friend in the forest. What is a forest? My yarishus lanizak lemazik. It's like a forest is rishus for both the person who gets damaged and the person who does the damaging. The Kodesh L'Sham, they both are allowed to be there. That Yotza Chotzer Balabais that excludes the Chotzer of Balabais, Shem Rishus Lanizak Lamazi Kodesh Sham. There's no permission for the Nizak. It says in the Mazik, but it says inside the Marsha erases that because the Mazik doesn't really make sense here. Maintains that of course the Mazik will have to be there because it's his yard, but the Nizak's not allowed to be there. So therefore, if he comes in without permission, without getting letting me know at least, but certainly without getting permission that he's in my yard to go in my yard, and I hit him with a stone while I'm tossing stones out there, I don't have to go into the only if I gave him just to be there. So then he's allowed to be there. Then it's like a forest where they can both be at the same time. Okay. So the Gemara says another Mishnah says another exclusion where there's no golos. The pasuk is talking about a case where you're chopping down wood, and that's an optional activity. So to any optional activity, if you do it and you kill somebody by mistake, your chayav goes. Yotza ha'ava makis beno. This excludes three cases: a father who hits his son, which is a mitzvah, right? Father has to hit his son in order to discipline him. V'arav aros talmido, a rebbe who hits a student, which is also a mitzvah. That's a disciplined student. The shliach beis and a shliach beis who's hitting somebody who refuses to come to court. It's also a mitzvah. So all these cases are not rishus. They're not optional activities. They're mandatory activities. So therefore, if somebody kills his son while he's punishing him, his student while he's punishing him, or shliach beis kills somebody while trying to get them to go to beis din, they don't go into golos. Okay, so that's the amount from Hatavas, so it's just like chopping down trees is a rishus. Optional activity, also any type of optional activity is a reason to go to golos, not a mitzvah activity. Okay, the Bavli has a whole discussion of when it's a mitzvah, when it's not a mitzvah, what are you teaching, what are you not teaching. I don't think Yerushalmi goes into any of this, but in the Bavli, it's a long discussion of where exactly it's a mitzvah to hit one child, hit one student. So it says the Yerushalmi, Rabbi Yanai. If you have a butcher who is butchering meat, he's chopping up a piece of meat, vihika, and he hits. Bein milamala, bein lamata, gole. When he hits on the way up, on the way down, he goes to goes. In other words, the question is whether one is derech aliyah, one is derech yirida, and one should be chayv, one should be potter. Meantime, Gemara says, either way, you're going up, going down, your chayv goes. But I said kaidim Ravuna. It's like Ravuna said, Tabo shumakatse. Somebody, a butcher who's chopping meat. He called in front of. Lamaton, he hits in front of him going down, gola. He goes to golas. Lamalon, going up, ain't no gola. Okay, so chops down, that's their chalila, he goes to golas. He's going up, that's their chalila, he doesn't go to golas. Because that's korv la'onis. The shogeg is when you're hitting down. Going up, you don't expect to hit anybody. You don't expect it's going to fly off the handle, so therefore you don't go to golas. Now, what's in your back? Because when a butcher has to cut a piece of meat, he winds up, right? He puts his hand behind his head, and then chops down, right? So when his hand is behind his head, la'achrav, l'malon goylev is on his way up. There he goes to goes, because that's the part of the chopping motion. Start back here, go down. So it's always a derech yirida, even though he's going up the back of his head. So it's a follow through. So therefore, it's considered to be derech yirida. On the other hand, l'malon, if he's going backwards on top of his head, right? He's going lamat in the back of his head, even though it's going down, but since it's a follow through and going up the upstroke, so therefore he's potter. Okay, so it says, lamat lefarav lematon go lamal eno go lachrav lemalon gole, right? Lematon eno go. On his way up, he goes and goes. On his way back, before the wind up, he doesn't go to goes. Okay, so not sure we have to do the plain motion here. No, I think we're okay without the plain motion. I think the Bible has the same. The Bible is a bit more complicated, but I think it has a similar idea. Okay, so Rabbi Yitzchak said, "Kol mila mila l'daite." So it says plain motion was in kol mila mila l'daite. Kol davar davar acha inyan huolech. And in everything it goes after what you're doing. But Adam who? How normally people conduct themselves. The yellow what she should consider, take into account. In other words, what do you have to be careful about? What don't you have to be careful about? So everything has its own parameters. Everything has its own issues where you have to be careful. You don't have to be careful. Okay. So I think I'm just going to give an example of this. So he says, Yoshua gabi mita bayom. Yeah. Yoshua gabi mita bayom. You sat on a bed during the daytime and you crushed the kid to death. Very tragic. But right? So then kids don't normally sit on lie in the bed during the day. So then, because you're not carved amazing. That's shogeg. Since normally the kids are not there during the day, so it's shogeg. You're going to goes. But if it's at night, and normally kids lie in bed at night, ain't no gola, you can't go to goes. Not because you're honest, not because it's an accident, the opposite, but because you're caught of lamazing, you should have been much more careful. That's the fundamental principle by golas. By golas, if it's onus, if it's something which you could not take into account, you're potter, right? If it's something which you might have taken into account, is reasonable, but not necessarily that you have to take into account, then that's shogeg, then the golas. Something which you definitely should have taken into account, that's korov lemezid, and you don't go into golas. What's the difference? But the gola down can still kill you, right? If you're korov lemezid, then the ir miklat doesn't save you. Korov leones, he can't kill you. I'll kill you even outside even if he finds it outside the ir miklat. Shogeg. So then it depends. If you're in the ir miklat, he can't kill you. If outside the ir miklat, he can't kill you. Korov lemezid, basin doesn't kill you because it was korov lemezid. It was not actual mezid. But the gol adam, he can kill you, and he can kill you even if you're in the ir miklat. Okay, so those are the three levels. Korov leones, almost beyond my capacity to control. Shogeg, which is a true accident. And korov lemezid, which I'm really negligent and I should have been more careful. Okay, Again, what I'm saying is during the day, since sometimes kids do go to nap during the day. It's not as if it's carved onus, right? You should have thought maybe a kid can go to nap during the day. You should have checked before he sat down in the bed and crushed him to death. But so therefore, you do go on the goals for that. But if it's at night, then for sure you should have assumed there's a kid there. If you didn't assume there's a kid there, you are criminally negligent, and therefore you're carved amazed, and you can't go to goals. Going to the miracle is not going to save you. Okay, that's one case. Yoshagabe Aresa Bayom. The next case. Yoshagabe Aresa Bayom. So an aresa is the like a crib, where you keep a kid during the day. It's, I don't know if crib's right there, a playpen, right? So somewhere where you keep them during the day, maybe it's like a cradle. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but a place to keep kids during the day. At night, put them in bed. During the day, put them in this playpen. Okay, so it should be a race of a yom. V'derech hatinok. Agabe aresa bayom. V'derech hatinok not agabe aresa bayom. Normally, child is in that, let's say, playpen during the day. Ain't a goyla. Don't go again because you're carved amazing. You should have realized that's where the kid is during the day. They keep him at night. They keep him in bed. During the day, they keep him in this playpen. So therefore, you should have looked, right? Therefore, you don't go to goes because you're close to amazing. Balayla, ain't there lina saying agabe resa balayla? If it's at night, and kids normally are not in a playpen at night, they're in bed at night. So therefore, a goyla, that's considered to be an accident because it's possible that a kid will be left in a playpen, even though it's beyond past his bedtime. So therefore, you go to goes. It's not completely carved but it's enough shogeg that you go to goes as a result. Okay. Rabbi Yosef said, somebody is sitting and standing and chopping wood. In his own yard. And your worker comes in because you owe him a salary. He came to collect his salary. If a block of wood from what you're chopping jumps up and hits that worker and hurts him, chayiv, you have to pay. In mace, ain't no goler. If he dies, however, you don't have to go into goles. What's the difference? So now there are a lot of changes here. Why? But the main change is down here in the Gillian Ephraim. It's here. In the in the Gemara itself, it says she'eno biyar. He's not in a forest. But that's not the point. Who cares if it's forest or not? It's not like a forest. In other words, he didn't have wishes to be there. The fact that he wants to collect the salary is not enough of a reason for him to come in without getting permission. So even though you have to pay for any damages, which you damage him, since by the going into Golos, especially there's a custom that it's got to be like a forest. It's not like a forest. You don't have to. Therefore, you don't go to Golos. Right? It's like a forest because he didn't have permission to be there. Okay. Tani, Rabbi Chanina, learned in Torah Brisa, Potter. He's Potter. The Velo Pligin. And they're not, it's he's not arguing. So what is it? He's saying that the Chanina, he's saying he's Potter from paying for damage also. So Gemara says, but he's not arguing. Even though the first opinion was that he's the owner of the yard is chai for damages, and the second opinion is that he's not chai for damages, it's not an argument. Madamar Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina, that which Rabbi Yossi Chanina said that you are chai for damages. Now here in Baba Kama, the girsa is the opposite as we have here. Here's Madan Rabbi Chia B'Shaloro also. Madan Rabbi Chia B'Sharo also. In Baba Kama, it makes more sense. So therefore, we're going to switch it to what it says Baba Kama. Madan Rabbi Chia B'Sharo also. When he saw him, Madan Rabbi Chia, Rabbi Chanina, it says here Rabbi Chanina, but in Baba Kama it says Rabbi Chia. So this is the same opinion. Chanina here and Rabbi Chia. So Madan Rabbi Chia B'Shaloro also. In other words, what am I chayav to pay damages? Not death. Death is the special circumstance by death, by going with the goals that it has to be like a forest, and he has to have permission to be there. If he has permission to be there, I don't go to goals. But there's no such because there's no such halacha by damages. What does that do with my damages? If I saw him or if I didn't see him? If I saw him, then even though it was accidental that the wood. A block would hit him, I have to pay. Because other more low. Doesn't matter if it's accidental. A person always has to be careful not to damage anybody else. And if he did damage a person, he has to pay. If I saw him, the shuros, if I saw him, I have to be careful. And therefore, if I'm not careful, I pay. But Rabbi Chia said that I'm part of paying the shuros. That's why I didn't see him. Since I didn't see him, so therefore I don't have to pay. Because I didn't know he was there to be careful. Yes, if I know I'm gonna, if I know to be careful, but I didn't know. So therefore I'm part. Okay, so says going even if he didn't see him, so what? Once he told him he can come in, he should be chayav, right? So the fact he told him to come in, that should be reason enough for him to be chayav, even if he didn't see him. Like the guy knocks on the door, right? And I say, come in. I don't see him come in, right? I just told him, come in. But isn't that enough for me to be chayav? I told him, come in. So therefore, I should be chayav on any damages. Why Rabbi Chia say I'm potter? If I didn't see him, even it sounds like even I told him he's allowed to come in, I'm still potter on damages. Why? I told him, come in. Doesn't that make me responsible for whatever happens to him? So it says Gemara, again, Ima Shaloro so came and Shomar Kones Chayiv to be Chayiv because he said come in. So yet Tani Rabbi Chia Potter. Chia said he's Potter, right? How come? So the Gemara says a fascinating answer. Came and Shomar Lo He Kones Tzarich Lishmor Atzmo. The fact that I told you to come in doesn't mean you don't have to safeguard yourself. All I said was you can come in. I didn't see you yet. So what you kind of explains, it's not going to be trespassing the fact that you come in. I'm allowing you to come in. But you have to be careful still. And therefore, if you're not careful, if I hit you, again, I didn't see you. I hit you, I didn't see you. I hit you with a block of wood. So then I'm still potter. So according to Rabbi Chia, even if I gave permission for him to come in, I'm still potter until I see him. Because until I see him, he's got to know, the guest, the person's coming in has got to know, oh, I better be careful. Because who knows what he's involved with. The fact you told me to come in doesn't mean I don't have to be careful, just means I can come and I can approach him, I can talk. Okay? So the Visa Boy Memar. And there are those who want to say, now, Visa Boy Memar is the other opinion, that they're that holds a Yerchayev. It's not brought down here in Makkos. Baba Kama, there's opinion which holds that once you tell him come in, you are chayev. Okay, once you tell him come in, even if you don't see him, you are chayev. So that Easter Boy Memar is usually Easter Boy Memar means, and there's somebody who wants to say, but here it really means, and the other opinion, which holds that you're chayev, is that once you told him come in, that once I told somebody else to come in, it's as if he's my partner. You know, partners have to always be careful because maybe the other partner is there. And if they're not careful, they're negligent, they have to pay. Because they have, even I don't have to see him, even I don't see him, he might be there at any time. So I have to be careful to make sure my partner's not there before I do any dangerous activities. So here too, the opinion which argues the Rabbi Chia and holds that the owner is chayav to pay, it's because even though I didn't see him come in, I just told him come in. That already makes him a partner with me. Not a real partner, obviously, but as if he's a partner. I know there's somebody else who might be here. Since I know there's somebody else who might be here, therefore I have to be careful. If I'm not careful, I have to pay for the damages. Again, there's no goals, right? There's no there is no, sorry, there is goals. I said before there's no goals. There is goals. So we ask permission to be there because it's like yar. Also, in that case, I made a mistake before. I wasn't even thinking. In a case where I told him to come in, or actually I should have mentioned before last. In a case where I come in, I'm definitely chayav goals. The question is whether am I chayav for damages? Interesting, because if I didn't tell him to come in, and he came in, so it depends. Did I see him or didn't I see him? I'm definitely partner on goals. But I might be chayav on damages. If I saw him, I should have made sure not to damage him. And if I did damage him, I'm chayav. If I didn't see him, I'm partner. That's if I didn't tell him to come in. Now, what if I told him to come in? Don't come in. So then, Rabbi Chia says, if I didn't see him, I'm still partner. Because he has to know to watch himself. Still partner from damages. But I'm chayav goals. Because now he has permission to be here. I don't have to pay for damages because I didn't see him, but I have to go to the goals if I hit him because he had permission to be here. And again, for goals, the only requirement is that he has permission to be there whether I saw him or not. Doesn't matter. Just like a forest. I have to be careful whether I see the guy or not. I go to goals. Because in the forest, who knows who's there? So as long as I gave him permission to come in, I'm chayav goals. The question is, I'm chayav nizakin if I just damage him. Said, as long as I didn't see him, I'm still partner for damages. Chayav goals, but not for damages. So, but the other opinion, which argues Rabbi Chia, says, no, once I told him to come in, he's like my partner. Once he's like my partner, I have to be careful whether I see him or not. And therefore, if I damage him, I have to pay for it. Okay? So as he says, you can ask the chutzah shutim, and not only I go into goals, but also I pay for damages. Rabbi Chia b'shem Rabbi Yochanan said, once on the topic of shutim, we say, Rabbi Chia named Rabbi Yochanan said, "Hashutim konim zeh mizeh b'chotzer." It's an interesting concept partnership in Allah. If I'm partner with you and I want to acquire something from you, that's Allah of kina chotzer, right? Which means that if you put something in my chotzer, I'm koning. It's in my yard. What if we're partners in you? Can I be koning from you through the yard if we're both partners? So Gemara says, yeah. Gemara says, each guy, when it's his turn to make a kinyan, it's as if the chotzer is completely his. As Reuven and Shimon are partners. Now Reuven wants to acquire a chair from Shimon, right? So he wants to acquire it through a kinyan chotzer. So can Shimon just put it in their common chotzer and Reuven is konet? He says yes, he can, because they're each shutaf, each partner has the right to use the chotzer for a kinyan, even when it had custody with his partner. Obviously, if Reuven wants to be a chair from Levi, who's not his partner, and Levi puts a chair in the common yard, Reuven's kohen. But even if Reuven wants to be kohen from Shimon, who is his partner, if Shimon puts the chair in their common yard, it can still make a kinyan. Why? Because each shutaf has the right to make a kinyan in the yard. Of course, as long as the other shutaf agrees, right? They have to agree on this. Once they agree on it, so then Shimon putting the chair in their common yard, Reuven can make a kinyan there on that chair. Okay, so the and they can protest each other's usage of the chotzer. In other words, there is a halacha that each shutaf can say, you know what, you're cramping my style. I have the right to use this chotzer in certain ways, and you are not letting me use it. So there are various things which you can protest and say, I don't want, I'm not allowing you to, you can't do this because it impedes me using the chotzer to my full extent. So that means the machim zel be the chotzer. Let's say one guy says, you know what, I want to open a store in the yard. So the guy says, yeah, I'm not letting you open a store. If you open a store, there are going to be lots of people coming in and out. And I won't be able to use the chotzer the way I want to. So he can protest, say you can't open a store, right? Somebody else wants anything like that, where one person's usage of the yard is going to impede on the other person's yards, they can protest against each other. Okay? Now, and one other thing is chayav and zeb and is kzeh. Each one is chayav on the nizakin of the other one. In other words, like we said before, the chotzer shutfim, each person be careful about the other shutaf who's there, might be there, might not be there, we don't know. So therefore, you have to be careful. And if you do damage him, even if you didn't see him, you're potter. If a third guy comes in, Reuven and Shimon yard of partnership, right? And Levi comes in. So I'm potter on Levi. We're both potter on Levi because Levi had no permission to be there at all. But if even if I don't, if Reuven and Shimon partners and Reuven doesn't see Shimon or Shimon doesn't see Reuven, they're still chayav because each one had permission to be there. So therefore, they're chayav on damaging each other. Okay? So now Gemara comes totally out of left field. V'lochein amarav, last two lines. V'lochein amarav b'mali kol reshus harabim, b'zu ein amalas kol reshus harabim. So this Gemara is going on a sugya in Baba Kama that I don't know if you ever learned Hameniach, probably not. So let's say Reuven and Shimon are walking in the reshus harabim. Reuven falls, and Shimon trips over him. So Gemara says Reuven is chayiv in the nizakim of Shimon under certain circumstances, and specifically where Reuven filled the entire reshus harabim. There's no, obviously it was very small reshus harabim, but he was lying lengthwise across the reshus harabim, and there's no way for Shimon to get around him. So then when Shimon stumbles over him, Reuven is chayiv to pay for damages to Shimon because he didn't leave room for Shimon to go by. So he's a real bore in reshus harabim. He himself becomes a bore, like in reshus harabim, and therefore he's chayiv in whatever damages that Shimon goes through. So so Gemara is asking a question here. That's why he was mamali kol chotzer. He fills up the whole yard. Vizu ain't mamali kol reshus harabim, right? I'm not sorry. He fills up the entire reshus harabim, and this is not mamali all reshus harabim. Another what do you mean? We're talking about a chotzer. We're not talking about reshus harabim. So Gemara is trying to extrapolate one from one case to the other case. We're saying, why is a chotzer any worse than reshus harabim? Reshus harabim, the only time Reuven is chayiv for damaging Shimon is where Reuven took up the entire reshus harabim, and Shimon had no way to get around. So therefore, he had to stumble over Reuven, and therefore Reuven's chayiv. But if Shimon, there was a little bit of space, so Shimon could walk around. So then Reuven's potter because Shimon could have walked around him, and he didn't walk around him. That's his own problem. So here too, when you have two shutim, says Gemara, why when one shutim damages the other person, is he chayiv? If the other shutim could have used another part of the yard, you're going to say if Shimon saw Reuven using the yard, so Shimon should say, okay, you know what, I see him using the yard. I don't want to get into trouble with him. Let me use a different part of the yard. Why should Reuven be chayiv? Reuven wasn't filling up the whole yard. Shimon could go somewhere else, another part of the yard, use the other part of the yard. The fact that he stood in a place where he was likely to get damaged by Reuven, that's not Reuven's fault. Why should Reuven have to pay for that? So that's what it says. V'zu eina mimala is called reshus harabim. This is not like somebody who fills the entire reshus harabim, right? The guy could have gone somewhere else in the yard. But when it says no, because since people shooting partners walk through the yards, it's their yard, so therefore they want to walk everywhere in the yard. It's to their partners, but meantime, I want to go wherever I want, right? So therefore, it's as if the friend is filling the entire yard, and I had no choice but to walk into him, and therefore he has to pay me. So it's an amazing. It's really a pretty amazing comparison. So we're saying that again. I want to go through one more time. Basically, we're finished for today because we got to the end of Halacha Dalet. But
Quick question.
Yeah.
Before we end, Rebbe said that he wanted the Tuesday Zohar for his birthday, and I went to see Berman, and they had no clue what I was talking about. So what am I missing?
on their website.
They had no clue. They like no such safer exists. They looked at me like I was completely
Okay, well, hold on.
not with it.
Let me stop. Let me stop recording. Let me stop recording. I'll show it to you.
What?
Let me stop recording. So again, so the idea is that if you have if somebody is allowed, if somebody fills up the entire Rosh Hashanah, then he's chayav if somebody stumbles over him. And if you and a chutzer, since I want to use the entire chutzer, if you're not letting you use part of my chutzer, the entire chutzer is supposed to be accessible to me. If you damage me, so then you're chayav. It's as if you were filling up the entire chutzer and not letting me use the chutzer. So therefore, just like the guy who was lying to Rabbim, he has to pay for the guy who stumbles over him. So to the shutaf, the partner, who's not letting his partner use part of his partner yard, he also has to pay as well. Okay, so Mitzvah tomorrow.